everybody. I'm Peter Grant with Zaner Metals in Denver. Welcome to This Week in Metals. With me is Peter Thomas, my colleague in Chicago. How goes it?
Down in the vault, drafty, cold. But if you're wondering why I'm smiling, take a look around, man. It's a nice day.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
So we had, like I said, welcome to Dramamine Trading. We said last week, if you want some excitement, come on over.
All was well and all was calm until Friday.
I disagree. We had a $99 rally in Palladium on
Yeah, right.
Thursday.
True
And then
story.
we
Yeah.
took $87 off today. I would say that was more than one day's
Yeah,
action.
there was and six similar action in copper. So,
I
well, let's start at the
Copper
beginning.
caught everyone by surprise.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's jump in with gold here to start.
absolutely.
So gold ended up down 2.8% on the week
On the
last
week,
week.
yeah.
It was the second consecutive lower weekly close. It was down 6.13 for the month of February.
Huge.
So a second consecutive lower monthly close. Um, Ended up on Friday, sort of the bottom fell out on Friday, and we dropped
Yeah.
all the way down to an 8-month low at 1717.22. You may recall that I've been saying that gold probably had to go lower.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think actually, if I recall, you and I had a pretty lengthy talk over some charts the other day, and you were going, we could see a 16 handle here, 1685,
yeah.
and you got pretty close.
Yeah,
You
and
gave
I'm
me
not
a nice
necessarily
call, man.
sure we're done at 1717.22, so we may see
Okay.
some downside follow through
All
this
right.
week. We'll have to see how it plays out, but kind of that first, support level was 1740. It blew right through that,
Do that
and
thing, yeah.
then 1700 to 1689.48 is my Fibonacci support level, which is 61.8% retracement of the whole March to August rally, from 1465.56 to the all-time high at 2074.92. So that's sort of the zone that I'm seeing potential to, and like
Okay.
I've been saying, I think if the Asian physical buyers see a 16 handle, that's pretty appealing. We haven't been down there
Yeah.
in quite some
Yeah,
time.
I think you're right. I think India and Hong Kong will both become very, very interested at that point.
Yeah. So the story last week was largely associated with rising yields. The
Right.
10
And
year,
today too,
yeah, well, they backed off a little bit,
a
but
little
on
bit.
on Thursday last year, the 10-year yield got to 1.553, which is as high as it's been in a little bit over a year. So we're
Okay.
going all the way back to sort of just as the COVID crisis was spooling up in the United States. We're back to those levels.
Okay.
The 10-year settled on Friday at 1.444%. So it eased a little bit. But here's the interesting thing, the dollar is shrugging off these higher yields. Normally, you'd see the
Yes.
currency chase yield. A higher yield is going to, attract foreign investors, and in order to buy treasuries, you need dollars. But the dollar doesn't seem to care at all about this. We saw a little
Well,
bit firmer
we
dollar on Friday, but
yeah, I was just
overall,
going to say this morning we saw a pretty hefty spike early on in the dollar, and I said, here goes the metals, and boy, they followed through off of it. But then when the dollar started to drift a little bit, it was like the damage was already done, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think overall, these rallies in the greenback have looked pretty pathetic, and so that tells me that something's wrong with the dollar. I shared this with you yesterday, and you thought it was pretty interesting, and actually I put it in my newsletter.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the Grant on Gold newsletter.
Great. That's a
Um,
great, and we put that out to everyone. We do that midweek in case you're wondering what happened over the week. He puts out a great letter, and it's available to you in all the chat rooms, and you could sign up for it with us, and it's definitely worth getting.
Yeah, go
Go-
to grantongold.com and you
Got it.
can sign up there.
Perfect.
But the last time yields were this high a year ago, the dollar index was trading around 99,
Yes.
10% higher than its current level. So that just goes to show you that it doesn't care about these higher yields right now.
No,
And I
no.
think a lot of it has to do with the just absolute monumental parabolic surge in supply in M1
Yes.
that is
And
keeping
parabolic's a
the
good word
dollar
too.
suppressed. So that's a pretty compelling case for gold. Now gold, is on sale right now, as far
Yeah,
as I'm concerned.
and it is on sale at ZanerPreciousMetals.com. We do have product on hand. We're
Yeah,
one of the few that's not 10 weeks behind. Now,
it's been
listen,
busy.
while we got the big paintbrush out, Pete, and you're giving it a good overview, let's bring everybody up to speed on globally what's pushing the metals price, because that's what we do. We try to give you these facts as to why we're here. The National People Congress, which really is President Z. I mean, he if you do what he
He
doesn't like,
runs the
then
show.
you're yeah, then you're off for re-education. So it starts on the 14th, which is where they put out their 5-year plan of what everything is going to do. And that means like the central bank, how much gold they buy, how much infrastructure they're going to do, which influences us and our scrappers as to how much copper they're going to consume. They're still running between 61 to 63%. That's been fluctuating a little bit lately, but that's usually then their number the last 2-3 years. So China has reached out, and they're getting all their numbers together, and they're going to release them in a couple of weeks. So that's going to be a big driver for our market. Also, they've pushed their Green Deal back to 2060.
No,
So, I mean,
it was
whoa, what
2025,
happened
right?
here?
Was it?
Well, I thought it was 2025. It was going to be all clean. And then they went out and bought 1 billion tons of coal, and everybody went, what's this Green Deal stuff? They're, 2060, we'll get around
Maybe
to
they
it.
were going to spray it with that copper solution, and always going to be good that we
I
talked about
sure hope
last
so.
week.
I
Right.
sure hope so. I really do. Also, while we're at it, their oil consumption is going to stay high, and which makes me give a shout out to Chris Largan, old board of trade guy I know who's still trading energies. He sat me down about 3 or 4 weeks ago and explained to me why crude was going to go from $30 to 65, and I looked at him like he was insane. Hand salute, buddy. You nailed it. I'm sorry I
Tip of
was
the
wrong.
hat.
Tip of the
Yeah.
hat. That's all I can say. Natural gas has about doubled. So all the damage to the energies is because of this. So thanks a lot, Chris. Appreciate you giving us the heads up. So watch in the next couple of weeks for some more erratic movement and some adjusting to what we're going to see as far as consumption goes for the next 5 years in China. So that's what I'm seeing for pretty much all the metals. But I wanted to get that in while we were doing gold.
Yeah. A couple other things to think about with respect to gold. We saw, through Thursday last week, we saw 9 consecutive days of outflows from the ETFs.
Ah, yes. I'm glad you
Um,
pointed that out.
yeah, down 2.2 million ounces year to date.
Right.
So again, it's just investors bailing out of safe
Liquidating.
havens
Yeah.
and piling into stocks, and
Whatever else they got.
cryptos have been pretty
You know
popular
what?
lately.
I mean, I heard today, I saw some of the numbers on CDs being bought were gigantic. People were like, oh my God, it's
You
at a
can
point
actually
and a
get a
half. I got,
yield.
I mean, it's like, okay, dude,
Woo.
Eh,
Yeah. The other thing, it looks like the Biden stimulus deal. I thought they were going to get it passed out of the House on Friday.
first 2 days, he said.
Doesn't look like that happened quite, but it's still people seem to be pretty optimistic that that stimulus bill is going to get passed,
Uh-huh.
and people will start getting checks in the not too distant future,
Well,
and
a
maybe
whole
start
whopping
spending it.
9% of that bill is going to go towards COVID. So at
I
least
saw
some
that.
of it to get done. Yeah.
Well, apparently a lot of bailouts to states like your state, my friend,
Oh, the giant
to
hole they have
yeah,
yeah, I'm not going there.
the
No, no, no,
giant
no.
sucking sound.
No.
Mm.
Let's just move right on down the line to silver, okay?
As a that's I'm from Colorado now. I moved out of Illinois for that very reason.
Smart
I
man.
don't want to have to be paying for it anyways. So
But
that's
you
my only
are.
point.
You are
That
bailing out Chicago. So,
that is my concern at this point, and it
yep.
should be everybody's concern. So call your representatives, call your Congress people, and say all that pork in that bill's got to go. Let's help people out.
What
Let's
kind of
address
attitude
the
is
COVID
that?
crisis. Yeah, I know we don't typically get very political on this show,
Yeah,
but I have pretty strong feelings about that.
I noticed. Whoa, that's the
So,
first time ever. Yeah.
all right, we'll move on. Let's talk silver.
Yeah, let's
Um,
do that.
Silver, remained comparatively buoyant. It was still down 2.2% on the week. It gave up most of those losses came on Friday last
Yeah,
week.
it gave back the big rushes that it had last week were all given up at the end of the week. It
Yeah,
was like profit taking and a few other things. I
yeah.
mean, it was we've had a huge up and down. The same way with Palladium, really. It almost mirrored it,
Right. So down 1.17% for
right?
February. Um, Again, here's the interesting thing is the silver ETF continues to see inflows. On Thursday last week, we saw
Right.
1.1 million ounces come in. So year to
We're gonna
date,
get today's number. I have a feeling we're gonna see metal going out.
yeah, probably for
Yeah,
Friday, yeah.
yeah.
But year-to-date inflows are 77.4 million ounces. So it,
I
it's hanging in there, and
oh
I
yeah.
think that there's still some concern out there, given the warnings that BlackRock gave with regard to SLV,
Yes.
about their concern about being
Change
able to acquire physical.
and
Um,
changing their bylaws, which was very interesting
Right.
too.
And so, the thinking is that, if SLV stops issuing shares or suspends share issuance for some period of time, because they can't get physical to back those shares, that people are going to turn to the futures market or the physical market. And
Oh, that'd kill us.
that's going to drive prices up, but it's also going to drive premiums even higher than they
Yeah.
already are.
Well, I will tell you this, and I've been saying this for about the past 2 months. All the people sitting at home trading on their screens are learning how to trade. And on these rallies, we're not seeing as much buying as we used to. Today, across the board in silver, I saw buying. I saw bids. I saw people coming in going, "Oh my God, it's $1 lower. I'm in." And I was like, "Wait a minute, you're the public. You're supposed to buy the rallies, And it's changed.
It
And
has, and I love
and
it.
and the problem is that on those dips, we'd usually get people selling us metal that we'd have to sell on the next rally, and now it's inverted. They're taking profit, and it gives us an opportunity to fill our vaults. So things have changed. They've inverted, and today we saw buying on this big break, and yesterday we saw selling. It's been interesting. It's a different game. It's
Yeah.
changing.
Yeah, and I like it. I like to
Yeah,
see that the
I do
public
too.
is educating themselves, and they're no
Yeah,
longer being taken advantage of the
taken
bullion
advantage of.
banks.
Yeah. Oh,
So
absolutely,
it's
man.
it's great. Um, so, but bottom line, I think the fundamentals for silver remain very constructive.
I agree. I agree.
And the chart still looks pretty good too, even with the sell-off late last week. So I think that people will in fact be looking for buying opportunities on
Absolutely.
dips.
Yeah. And guys, midweek, Pete puts out some charts with support points. It's worth looking at his midweek recap because it'll give you some good entry areas. His technical work is by far one of the better that you're going to run into. So I just wanted to let you know that. And now, Dr. Copper, what do you say?
You want to do PGMs or you want to do copper?
I
You
want to
tell me.
do the bloodbath. It was
Whee!
ugly today, boy.
So, at the end of last week, Thursday and Friday, copper did get shellacked.
That's a good
Worth
word.
noting that, it hit a near decade high on Thursday before it did retreat.
Yes.
It reached $4.3628.
It
And
was
then
a
it promptly
monster
sold
high
off
there.
about 6%.
I'll tell you what, I was extremely bullish. I was talking to one of our big producers, and he goes, "What do you think?" And I said, "Citibank's talking, almost double this, and right now all I'm seeing is bids. I don't see any weakness. Of course, that's when they killed it,
Right,
but
right.
yeah, it's because I'm a professional and I know everything, right? Oh
Yeah.
man,
Well, it
I
was
mean,
pretty
when I saw
overdone.
them
I
take
mean,
17 cents off it, I almost fell out of my chair.
yeah, the magnitude of the rally, without any material pullback was pretty substantial, and it was
Yeah,
therefore, vulnerable, I think, to corrective activity, particularly going into the weekend and into month
yeah,
end.
yeah, yeah.
People taking profits.
That's true.
So that being
And there were a
said,
lot of funds in there that were selling. So you're exactly right.
it still closed higher on the week,
Well, here's
up
the other thing that you pointed out this
0.8%.
morning. Hey, guess what, guys? We're still above $4.
Yeah.
Okay. So this market ain't weak. We just had a little profit taking. Actually, we had a lot of profit taking. But let's see what it does next week. It'll be interesting.
As Pete was getting the vapors about the big sell-off, uh, I had to remind him that 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 we were still above $4.
I know, I know. I was
So
like Scarlett standing on the porch. Oh, Red, they're burning everything. I was just, but it was like,
uh,
we had a guy with 3 million pounds of copper looking at me. I'm like going, oh God, what am
honest
I
to
gonna
goodness,
do?
what would make great video is to record like our intraday calls.
Yeah.
It would be hysterical, and
Oh,
we
they
gotta
crucify us. I'm telling you. So
something
that's
about
what
the
happened,
language,
guys.
though.
I mean,
Yeah.
we saw fund selling. And actually, there was no resistance. I mean, it was month end, big selling, lots of changes going on in China coming up soon, and it was a perfect storm, and we got our break.
And kind of to put it in perspective, not only did copper end up higher on the week despite the big retreat, it only fell back to the 9-day moving average.
Oh, that's
So,
interesting.
so I think that and closed above it. So, there may be additional downside potential, and when you get up moves like this, it's not surprising to see volatility accompany that. So,
Yeah,
hedgers take note. That it might be good opportunity to lock in on those rallies if you
yeah.
got stuff in the yard. And
Yeah,
um,
I mean it's always when you get a spike up into those new areas, it's not a bad idea to maybe lay off a little bit of
yeah,
product in the yard. No question about it. Now, quick announcement: BMO Capital, they have an annualized metals meeting, and if you're a scrapper, if you're a refiner, if you own mines, people like Alcoa, Freeport, McMoran, BHP are all at the Global Metals and Mining Conference. Fortunately, we have great sources, and they're going to feed us the information as it comes out. We're going to try, as always, at Zaner Metals to keep you informed as to the things that are going to shape the market. And this is a big, big meeting from the big guys. And we'll try to give all of our producers some insight as to what came out of it if you weren't in that meeting.
gotcha.
Okay.
Great. PGMs,
Yeah.
platinum was down 6.5% last week. It was the first lower weekly close in four. Still up 10.6 for the month of February, though.
Yeah. Very nice returns on the month. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. It was the fourth consecutive higher monthly close in February. So,
Been
that
wonderful.
market still looks
Platinum has
good.
been an amazing market
Yeah,
for really since the beginning of the year.
yeah.
Yeah.
And again, the market was probably overbought again to some degree, and
Okay.
um, again with pretty substantial profits booked. Not uncommon to see people taking
Profit taking,
profits
sure.
into
And
the
and
month end.
especially with the professionals that have large funds, you'll see them come in. I called today Chicken Little Day, which was the sky is falling, the sky is falling. But for example, with Palladium, It was up $99 yesterday and broke 77 today. Guess what? I went home with money in my pocket. Okay. I
Yeah.
mean, but the sky was falling. Everybody was running around panicking today, and I just looked at it like I went home with more than I started with at the beginning of the week.
Right. And so the price action in Palladium was kind of interesting. And
Yeah.
you tipped me off to some news that sort of precipitated the rally midweek.
Yep.
Why don't
Yeah,
you go
the
ahead?
flooding in the mines, yeah, which
Yeah.
which by the way seeped over into the other corresponding mines in the area. They were putting in a ram, which an artificial wall to bring that water down. But as far as the damage goes, we don't know. I have a feeling one of the things that helped bring this down was that the ram worked. Artificial wall slowed the water down. They're going to be able to pump it out, but we don't know what the long term is for that, Pete.
Right. Yeah. So it
Yeah,
was very specifically two pretty significant Nor-nickel mines
Norm nickel
in
mines,
Russia,
exactly right.
in
Yeah, thank
Russia,
you.
that were impacted by that flooding in the mine shafts,
Yeah.
um, that caused partial shutdown of operations and
Yep.
so forth. And of course, Nor-nickel is probably the largest um, miner of
Oh,
palladium in the
absolutely.
world.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Putin. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But they do a little more than just produce nickel, which reminds me that Mr. Musk was saying that we're running out of nickel for his nickel cadmium batteries for his Tesla cars. And when you're through playing with your rockets, and for which we're all extremely jealous. I wish I had my own rocket set, but I don't. But if you get a break in there, give us a call. We might get over to the Philippines and get some of those mines reopened for you, so you won't have that shortage. And also, we'd love to have you on the show. So
Yeah.
just a little note there.
Yeah. So uh, just getting back to palladium really quick, it
Yeah,
traded as high as 24.89 and a half on Thursday. And so the kind of the pretty key resistance level at 25.08, 25.14. You'll put the chart up on the video here, but that was sort of the highs, post initial COVID volatility. So we had that big swing back in March, but the highest we've traded since then has been just over 2,500, and we got close to that and then sold off. Um, so, I think if we move definitively above 2,500 bucks, I think that's the key to an eventual retest of the all-time high at 28.75 from February of last year. So,
hard to argue
um,
with.
yeah,
Hard to argue with.
but so far it has not gotten through that and was rejected pretty resoundingly this past week from those levels. So we'll see how
That
it
is,
plays
look
out.
at
And again,
that
and
number has
again,
been the cap,
yeah.
and it has not been able to get through it. And I can tell you, our scrappers are telling us in the Southwest that they are so backed up with product from destroyed structures, buildings. I mean, everything that you can think of in the infrastructure of Texas, that their yards are literally full already from just metal falling out of the sky, falling off lines and here and there. So what's going to happen is the the PGMs are not going to be getting the big push they get from our recyclers. So, we could see prices go a little higher if we start to see a shortage due to the fact that auto cats aren't coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Hmm.
think overall the fundamentals here remain pretty favorable as well.
Yep.
Again, I suggested in my newsletter that um, the uh, the internal combustion engine is not going away anytime soon,
No.
but there will continue to be tighter and tighter emission standards, which is going to increase loading requirements of palladium or
And
platinum in
platinum. Yep.
catalytic converters, um,
Absolutely.
and um, and I don't think even the Chinese pushing their carbon neutral goalpost back a couple of decades is going to change that either.
Yeah.
Other
Well,
than perhaps keep combustion engines around for a while longer.
I mean, bottom line is that America produces a very small amount of the pollutants. I think we're at like
Right,
20%.
right. And so another thing with regard to the United States, um, Horaeus put out a pretty good article this week. Their stuff is always good.
It is.
And they were
Yeah.
talking about electric vehicle adoption and the risk to palladium demand.
Right.
And they said that, so they estimated that I think it was by 2025 that electric vehicle adoption in the United States was going to be somewhere around 500,000 to 1 million vehicles.
Just
And at
nothing.
that point, even at the high end, the impact was going to be like 14,000 or 140,000 ounces of palladium.
It's not a lot.
Um, so it's not a
Really not
lot.
a lot.
No.
I mean, now, but remember, we're part of a global community here. 2025, Singapore is going to be 100% EV. We're seeing China is going to be about 9%, which is a much bigger number. So demand is increasing globally,
Oh yeah.
but I have to say, Horaeus and Bloomberg are shoulder to shoulder on the quality of their reporting in metals, and no doubt that we have to go with that number.
Yeah. So data last week was generally pretty favorable, U.S. data. I was particularly impressed by the durable goods orders that beat expectations pretty resoundingly. Came in at plus 3.4%.
Yeah,
Expectations were plus 0.1%.
what we expected.
Yeah.
We expected it to get. Remember, we mentioned last week we didn't think that number would even be close, and we were
Right.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Q4 GDP, the second report came out as expected. 4.1% was fourth quarter GDP. Good home sales numbers. Again,
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
home sales were a beat. Home prices, particularly in, markets like mine, are
Yeah.
through the roof.
Well,
Um,
you know what? The average price. Here's something interesting for you commodity investors. Lumber is now up 100%, and the increase in the lumber prices for building has added an average of $28,000 to each additional new home being built. So this rally across the board in commodities is having some very interesting effects.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Um, we talked quite a bit about inflation last week,
right.
and I was anxious to see the chain price index
Oh,
inflation
that's right. You
number,
were. I remember that. Yeah.
0.3%. So don't you worry your pretty little head, Pete Thomas. There is no inflation.
I know you.
Chain,
You.
chain,
I'll be hitting that pillow tonight, going, everything is fine. Everything is fine. Take a
yeah.
couple of more pills. Which one? Red ones or the blue ones? I mean,
So the chain price index is the inflation number that the Fed watches, and
yeah.
that's the number that they want to get to 2% at least and above. And we're nowhere even close. So they're clearly looking at the wrong thing, in my in my opinion, because inflation is everywhere you look, my friend.
Hey, baby, if they ever need any help, like I've said before, they can go to the grocery store with me and actually shop for themselves, not send their maids or whatever. All our wealthy representatives, go on down to the local grocery store and see those green peppers you were paying 79 cents for at $1.50 and tell me how things are going good.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
as we alluded to moments ago, go try and buy a house,
Yep.
or go fill up your car with
Fill
gas.
up your tank. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
all of
by
that
the way,
stuff.
we've almost put $1 on gasoline in most places, and that's just the first 60 days here. Wait, it's going to 3 for sure or higher because Green Deal is going to kill it. No question about it.
Right. Well, let's
Yeah.
look ahead to this week real quick. We have manufacturing ISM and PMI out on Monday.
Okay.
Construction spending as well. Plus 0.7% is what the market's looking for.
Not even close.
We got auto sales on Tuesday.
Ah,
We got the services,
is that
ISM
going
and
to include
PMI.
light trucks?
Yeah, we'll include light trucks.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so they're expecting north of 10 million on light trucks again.
Okay,
Factory orders on Thursday, plus 1.2% is the expectation. And then the big jobs Friday, non-farm payrolls, they're looking at plus 200,000 jobs. Looking for a
really
slight uptick in the unemployment rate from
interesting.
6.3 to 6.4%. So
Okay,
that's kind of what we got on tap for this week. Um, and I think we covered all our bases. And,
I do too.
I hope this week is, a little calmer than last. But I keep saying that.
I don't.
I feel like,
Hey, rock and roll, baby.
right,
Strap on
right.
the seatbelt. Let's go.
I,
And
I'm
let me tell you something. If you want to know why this stuff is running around, give us a like and a follow. This will be in your mailbox when it's done. Midweek, if you want to catch up with the insanity, be sure you're on Grant on Gold. And we appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much.
absolutely. We really appreciate you. Have a great trading week. I'm Peter Grant with Zaner Metals in Denver.
Pete Thomas in Chicago, down in the drafty vault. All take good.